I welcome you to another edition of African Complementary and Alternative Medicine, AFRICAM. I am Oluwaseun Oyebade. On today's edition of AFRICAM, we'll be talking about the factors that are militating against the growth of herbal medicine in Nigeria. And here with me on set, I have with me Dr. IBRAHIM Lawal, the head Department of Biomedicinal Center, Forest Research Institute of Nigeria, and also Mrs.Christiana Olapade Ojo, the Managing Director of NAL Specialist Clinic here in Ibadan. I welcome you to the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Now, to start with, looking at the state of herbal medicine in Nigeria, over the years, let me say our forefathers have been trying their best to take herbal medicine to the next stage, and that is by putting it into writings, passing the knowledge and information, and we also have research institutes doing a lot of work to make sure that the knowledge of herbal medicine does not die at all. China has been able to do this. They have been able to even export their medicine. That's all world. They are now coming together. All nations of the world are coming together to look into the medicine of China. What is happening to Nigeria? We are so endowed. Why are we not moving as we should actually move? Let me start with Dr. Ibrahim Lawal.
Thank you. I think that when we're talking about the traditional medicine in the country, and especially in Africa in general, not in Nigeria to be specific, we'll look at there are a lot of researches in terms of maybe scientific research on herbal medicine for management of different ailments, and they have isolated so many compounds from different plants. But I think the only area that we are just looking into now, it is the area of standardizing from the local perspective, from the indigenous people, that they are the handlers of this medicinal plant. What I mean by the locals, they are the people that they are so close to the forest, they are so close to the plant. They don't go to the laboratory to analyze for anything. They don't go to anywhere. But because of the knowledge which has been passed down from mouth to mouth, or from generation to generation, has already been equipped them to know more about this. And these are the area that we will be looking at, the standardizing the medicinal plant product and coming up with different products so that we can able to actualize the originality of this medicinal plants and the usage of medicinal plant and the product itself. When we're talking about China, the African medicine or indigenous knowledge is different from the China medicine and indigenous knowledge there. One, there are a lot of things that make us, we're from two different entities, from two different regions, as in the continent. And when we are looking at that, the way we handle our own, the medicine here and the usage is completely different. But that is the reason why even the World Health Organization define traditional medicine as a heart of using a plant in holistic manner. And what do they mean by holistic manner? Is to take it homeopathically, that you need to know the root source of the ailment and you need to know the root source of everything before you can able to attend to it properly. But if we can able to tap this knowledge, we cannot actually, because the credit also needs to go to these people also, because they are the custodian of this knowledge before you can able to go to the laboratory, and where we cannot continue be doing it in the way the white men or the Oyinbos are doing it. We have our own way of doing things and in a standardized way. So we're just looking at, okay, the area we can able to standardize this, the packaging, the labeling, the dosage and everything, then it could be able to look unique, then it can able to meet the world standard.
Well, you are talking about standardization. Let me ask from Yalagu. Standardization that we are talking about in the framework of Nigeria, you interacting with people, indigenous people, do you think standardization can be achievable, or what would be your own definition of standardization?
When we talk standardization, basically it is just a way to present something, maybe a service or product or a range of products, in a way that it can be easily accessible, easily understood, and easily used by the consumer, by the end user. Now, for instance, when you want to standardize a product, they expect that you standardize it, you package it, packaging especially, branding, you package it in such a way that it will be recognized, easily recognized by the consumer. For instance, there are some bottles or packages that are not allowed to be used for edibles.
Okay.
They can be used for chemicals, they can be used maybe for brake oil or something like that, but they cannot be used for agbo. Simply because in the mind of the populace, such containers have been registered as, okay, this is brake fluid. For instance, if you see a can that is red and black, your mind immediately registers that this is brake fluid. If you see a bottle with a red top, your mind immediately goes to some kind of beverage. So standardization basically with natural medicine can be taken in that form. But when it comes to content, that is package standardization or branding standardization, there are some information that will be required to be put on your container, for instance, to say that, okay, this is 50 grams, this is a fresh product, this is an air dried product, this is a burnt and powdered product. Those are standardizations. Now, this is left to the agencies in charge to be able to say that these are the things we require from you as the person who wants to put this product out to the public. These are the things that must be on your package. That is for package standardization. Now, when it comes to content standardization, to be honest with you, it's going to be pretty difficult. Not just a little difficult, it's very difficult, because when we are talking of herbal medicine, it's different from pharmaceutical medicines, which are principally poisons. And herbal medicines are principally foods. So you need, the moment you're talking about medicine, you try and unlearn or disabuse your mind from the concept of pharmaceutical drugs and embrace concept of food. So what I usually tell people is, think about how can you standardize the content of moi moi, for instance. How can you standardize the content of a foriro, for instance? How can you standardize the content of green tea, for instance? There are different types of green tea. The teas that you get, if you get a green tea maybe from Dubai, for instance, it will be different from what you get from maybe from Egypt. Because one, the variants of the plants, even if it's the same species, the variants of the plant will be different. The environment will contribute to the concentration of the chemical compounds and all of that. So standardizing the content has to be a bit, not just a bit, it has to be a lot studied and put in concrete terms that, okay, if you are going to make teas, we know that agbos are teas. If you are going to make liquid extracts, these are the ways you must package it.
Okay.
To maybe extend the shelf life, to preserve the natural composition, to make sure that maybe molds, microbes have not, stuff like that. And then if you are going to make things that are maybe alcohol extract, maybe things like, okay, let's do a standard of the kind of alcohol to be used, because especially because of all of these issues we're having about organ damage and stuff like that, because things like this are not being standardized. When we are talking, before you can achieve standardization, you must have put some quality control measures in place.
Into it, and that
Exactly.
should come in all stakeholders in herbal medicine
Exactly.
coming together.
Together.
Now, let us talk about, if we're talking about herbal medicine, we should be able to also talk about the success story so far. Now, from the research level in Nigeria, what credit are we going to give herbal medicine? How has herbal medicine been able to contribute effectively to our own pattern of medicine or treatment of ailments or management?
In Nigeria, the herbal medicine research has contributed immensely to the growth, even to the high GP of the country, because we have so many products that is from Nigeria that has been working, and people have been making use of them to treat one ailment or the other. For instance, we have from Nile Clinic, we have for high blood pressure, we have from forestry research, we have from so many people that it has been standardized. And when you are talking about standard, maybe you're talking about the NAFDAC regulation. The NAFDAC regulation will just to make sure that it is not toxic to human. So, and if it is not toxic, it means that it can be used. And also, WHO also agreed that all the plant that it has been in use for over years doesn't actually need a clinical trial anymore, because, and some other things. It means that I've been using it since 17th century. Nobody dies of it. Nothing happens. No no liver dysfunction, no damage to the any part of the body organ. It means that it has been regularized, it has been standardized. So what are we talking
So
about
over
again?
time
Over
has been able
time,
to
because
prove it
yes,
right.
time has been able to prove that okay, this can stand the test of time. And for that, it means that in a way, directly or indirectly, by herbal drug production or by direct consumption as food, as medicine, it has contributed even to the primary health care immensely. At least in Nigeria, we can mention so many things, and we have some foods that you can able to use as a curative for so many ailments.
We're still on you, Dr. Ibrahim Lawal. There was a time that urban medicine came to limelight, and everybody seems to now be accepting the truth of urban medicine. And that was the COVID-19 time, 2020, whereby we had a lockdown of humans, or let me say animals. Everyone was on lock and key. Now, during that time, can you state the records, immense records that we have from our research institutes as regards urban medicine? They are curbing the spread of COVID-19 and also managing that viral infection. What were the success recorded in
Yes,
2020?
I think that we have a very good story to talk about the 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 remedy for COVID-19 during the outbreak of this disease. In Biomedicinal Research Center, which I had, we came up with a product that it is named Cetone, to because during that period we have to quickly be in the laboratory, be in the to make sure that something quickly come out so that we can able to combat this thing. And we came out with herbal blend hand sanitizer. Then also, and we came up with a NAFDAC registered Cetone, a product, and this has been in use by a lot of people, even the PTA, Presidential Task Force, so that we can able to. So those are the things that from the forest we can able to combat
So
the
while we are having the modern or the Western world offering their solution, we were also able to generate our own local
yes,
medicine.
yes,
Now to Yalagu, during that time we had Oni of Ife coming out to say, okay, this particular remedy worked for him. The governor of your state, Engineer Sheyi Makinde, also made reference to some certain things. We had a whole lot of people making suggestions. Now, what were the contribution from the local retailers, sellers, dealers, coming to the modern or the elitist part of the practice? What were the contributions?
Thank you very much. If I may correct something, it wasn't like COVID brought out something new. The so-called local people are the stakeholders here.
Okay.
In traditional healing system, we don't see the retailers or the consumers as the local people or this sect of people. Basically, the difference between traditional practice and the scientific and the mainstream scientific practice is that everyday life is our laboratory. Everyday life, our experience is our laboratories. We do not need to go into, an enclosed environment to carry out some experiment. You take your pepper, you take it, it's hot in your mouth, you know that, okay, pepper is hot, you take your ewedu, and you don't just take something in traditional practice. The key about what makes it traditional is the fact that knowledge is passed from one generation to another, not from one person to another now. Most of the time, if you ask someone, oh, why do you put onion in your stew? Or why do you use ogiri and not iru, for instance? I'm sure you know the difference between ogiri and iru. They will tell you, that's what my mom uses. If you get to ask the mom will tell you that's what our own parents to use. So that is a tradition in their practice. When COVID came, it wasn't a big deal to the so-called traditional people because they are used to measles outbreak, wani igbono, stuff like that. They are used to outbreak of different diseases and they know what and what to quickly put together and they would be fine. During the COVID, I remembered very well when I went to OJ Market at some point, I wore my nose mask and my alagbo was like, ẹ̀yin alákọ̀wé sá, COVID, alákọ̀wé náà ni mo ń pa kò lè pa. You understand? So that tells you something because from their expression, you can tell their background, you can tell the confidence that they have that emanates from the knowledge that they embody. They know that when they take this and this together, they will be fine, even if they swim inside COVID. We know that traditionally, people use things like tagiri. They use things like ewedu, the boundary plant, the Nuboldia leaves, the akoko is something that they plant along, to bound villages and settlements because it is now known, science has now confirmed that these plants that I've mentioned have very powerful antiviral effects. So these are experiments or studies that have now validated those traditional practices. So it wasn't COVID that made the traditional people aware of the plants that they can put together.
No, not
it
COVID,
wasn't COVID that made them aware.
COVID brought out the glory
to the elites. It made the elites aware. The traditionalists have always been aware that, of course, if anything comes, I'll be fine. They have asages, they have ajesaras, they have ifokomus, stuff like that they use. But it is strange to the elitists. So the elitists were surprised that, okay, if I eat garlic, I'll be fine. If I eat ginger, I'll be fine. So when the Oni of Ife came up and said, this and this and this could work, and some people were saying, no, it shouldn't go there, it shouldn't go there, it shouldn't say this. What is this evidence? Sadly, in the scientific contemporary practice, they always require evidence-based pronunciations. But in tradition, your daily life is your evidence. When you take something, someone used this, babalagbaja lokini kan, ìdílé báyìí nǹkan báyìí náà ń lò, and they are fine. So COVID was something, if we were a serious society, I think what we'll be doing is gathering data henceforth to be able to say it is not just 80% of the population that depends on herbal medicine for healing, because that's what WHO says about African herbal medicine. Truth is, COVID has shown us that the figure is probably more than that, because we have done some personal studies and we have seen that in the past it used to be maybe 4 out of 10 people that will say, when they have malaria, they could put some plants together. Now it's about 8 out of 10 people that are saying, if they have malaria, their first point of call is getting mango leaf, this, that, boiling it before they even think, maybe if the symptoms do not improve, because that is another issue. If the symptoms do not improve, then they can now think of, okay, let me go to the pharmacy.
With how well we've been able to gain education on today's edition of African Complementary and Alternative Medicine, you will agree with me that what you do not know, you should not condemn. And what you do not have a proper understanding of, you should not actually cancel it. Rather, get more information, get more knowledge as regards about medicine in Nigeria. I am Oluwaseun Oyebade and have a pleasant